Hello and welcome back to another episode. Let me just get something out of the way. I love Resident Evil VII. The experience of being Ethan in the first person in a post Silent Hill PT demo destruction world was a delicious, horrific experience. That meandering through the Baker estate, the disgust and the decay and the horror, fighting the Baker family. Ma Baker in particular has scarred me for life, I don't mind saying. What a game. I love it, and I'm very much looking forward to Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8 later this year. I can't wait to see what happens next. With this engine, with this perspective, and with this survival horror experience. I felt as though I survived Resident Evil 7, not that I beat the game. However, I have such a rage, such beef, such frustration with the free DLC that came with Resident Evil 7, and I simply had to share it here today so that it's out of my system for when Resident Evil Village arrives on our consoles. You see, in this DLC, Not a Hero, you play as Chris Redfield himself. And it's got some fun nods back to aspects of Resident Evil 5, for example, Chris's punch, the boulder punch.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, take it! Oh, that was sick. That reminds me of Resident Evil 5 when Chris had those like huge arms. Like for some reason he got swole somewhere in there.
Well, his punch is quite powerful in this DLC, to say the least. He's roided up still. But it was all going fine until I got to a very particular point in the game. And then it just spat in my face.
So here we are, smack bang in the middle of Not a Hero DLC, the free DLC with Resident Evil 7. I am playing as Chris Redfield with a interesting heads-up display helmet type thing on, and in this room here there's a horrible monster that I don't want to activate because I've just got past it. So through we go, through this door. It's all a bit scary. Night vision is required. The scale of this mining operation is quite something. If you've played played Resident Evil 7, then you'll be familiar with this part of the game. And here we are with some familiar booby traps. These are laser activated bombs essentially on the walls, and to get past this guy we need to crouch. If I can remember how to crouch, there we go, and then down we go. And there's some more lasers that we might fall foul of. There's this guy here, and some of it is slightly obscured, like we can't quite get at, possibly the bombs here. But the way to deal with these seemingly discrete little bombs is to aim and shoot, and that sets off the trap, and hopefully you're not injured in the process. In this instance, it's a bit more difficult. I'm just going to throw a grenade down there. That should deal with those guys. There we go. All dealt with. All these seemingly independent little bombs. You see, they're on the wall. There's no electrical wiring going into them. They're probably battery operated as far as we can tell. That is... Oh, actually, no. That wire. That's not a wire. That's a panel edge above the unit. If I stand up, yeah, separate from the electrical system. And we continue. We go along this corridor into this room here, where we're looking for one of our colleagues. Chris is very passionate in trying to rescue his colleague who's been kidnapped by the evil Lucas.
Hey, you okay?
And there he is. There's our colleague on the floor.
I'm coming.
Now, again, we're faced with all of these traps. Now, the first thing that I did when I saw these traps, to be fair, when I first played the game, was I thought, okay, right, I'll deal with this. Aim, bang. Now, this is okay, because this is how games work. You make a mistake that I should have known might have set off a chain reaction, to be fair, and then you get to learn from that mistake with a retry. You get to start from where you left off.
Whether it's falling foul of a Goomba, flying off a course into the abyss, or dying for the 1000th time in Dark Souls. We're accustomed to getting another crack at the whip. You get to try again from the point that you left off. And on a timeline of your gameplay, you may well die over and over again. But every time you restart, you're continuing that timeline. And by the end of the game, in theory, what you have is a series of stitched together perfect moments where, yes, you had to try again, but it was the same continuity. It was as if you were perfect all the way through, and the story, the canon, was preserved. Good game design will hint at an upcoming obstacle and give you a chance to avoid it. And you may not see the hint first time round or first time through, but the hints are there. And next time you will learn. Maybe you won't fall down that pit or go careering off the track at that point, or we get hit in the face by that monster when it's lining up clearly to smash you in the head. Good game design is something that will kill you, but something that you realise actually there were hints leading up to that death that meant you didn't have to die. Now, let's return to Resident Evil VII.
So now we're going to retry that section where I just died as Chris, and I'm going to learn from my mistake. I'm not going to set off the chain reaction of these discrete little bombs. And hopefully we'll be able to proceed.
Hey, you okay?
There is, all's good.
I'm coming.
I now know what the hazard is. I shouldn't set off the chain reaction, so I'm going to make my way through the lasers very carefully. And me and my bubble friend Ruth, we were doing this together, and we were thinking, yep, this is the answer. And notice that Chris, when he comes into the room, he goes, "Hey, hang on, I'm coming," this kind of thing. So your character motivation is to get to your man, to help your guy, and this is very, very Chris-like. Of course Chris wants to do this. So we're going to make our way through here. It's all a bit nerve-wracking. Make our way through here. And there is our guy. Right? That's the way we should be role-playing, in particular as Chris, in this moment. So we go over to our guy, press X. Is he okay?
Marquez?
Marquez! And here's Lucas.
What the?
And look, everything now changes.
Fuck!
Now this is not something I'm controlling. This is something I have no control over. This is essentially a cutscene. And we die. We get a shard of metal in the stomach, and we get to perish on the floor. This is a little bit frustrating, to say the least. So when I first played this, I tried again. We were both, me and my friend, we were sat here on the couch, and I thought, okay, well, let's try that again. Maybe I can maneuver my Marquez out of the way, the guy that I'm trying to help. So let's this time make our way through a little bit more quickly, through the laser maze. Again, we see all these fairly discrete packages, no wiring in between them, what looks like maybe even battery packs. You see? Make our way through. It's a bit unfair that Lucas suddenly changes the rules, but, you know, okay. I can deal with there having been a mistake made. So now, let's see, can we... No, I don't know, there's not a way to drag him through there. How else can we proceed? Let's see if we can do anything after I press X to try and move Marquez, try and maneuver out of the way. Let's see.
Marquez?
Chris, old buddy.
Oh, once again, I have no control. No control in this instance. this is just what happens if you go to Marquez. It's a scripted sequence, and it feels a little bit weird. I'm not quite sure what I could have done differently. Now the answer is to act entirely with the knowledge of what you've just seen. Now this is distinct from the first time you came into this room and shot.
Hey, you okay?
Shot the traps and set off
I'm coming.
a chain reaction, because actually I knew about chain reactions already. The grenade back here set off a chain reaction. There was an opportunity for me to not fall into this trap, or into that first version of this trap, and that was on me. That really was on me. But the weird thing about this room is that it seemingly requires you to not behave as Chris. So you need to ignore Marquez now, go along here, go around here, go over here, and turn off the power to these traps that are not connected to any power grid and haven't been connected to a power grid throughout this DLC, and indeed in the main game I think there might have been a couple of these explosives as well. Turn off the power at the wall, turn on the lights, I think, in the room. No, just the power at the wall. And now we can go back to Marquez. And things will proceed differently. I didn't even have to press a button that time.
Hey, you still with us?
Yeah, it's you. Thanks. I was beginning to think we'd been left behind. I think we can get out this way.
Now, initially this felt unfair, but the more I and my friend thought about this, the more irritated I became. This wasn't just a do-over, this wasn't just a death and picking up the timeline where you left off. This was an alternate timeline, like Back to the Future Part 2, where Doc and Marty have to undo their mistakes to get back onto the timeline that they're familiar with.
Now, not only does this solution require you to act out of character, to ignore the guy on the ground who said that you're going to help, and go off in a random direction and find a switch on a wall, it also relies on you somehow figuring out a solution to a problem that there's been no clue existed previously. As I say, all the bombs previously acted independently. Indeed, the bombs in this room, there's no visible wire network, there's nothing connecting them, there's nothing that indicates that maybe there's a power source. And as you enter the room, indeed, it's really hard to see that there's any... Can we get over there? This is back. It's really hard to see, actually, from the entrance, if we run back, that there is any sort of switch. It's just boxes and pallets, especially with night vision. So this room is a puzzle for which there have been previously no hints of the mechanism. No, as I say, no electricity grids required to power these bombs. This room requires you to act out of character, to ignore Marquez and to go off on an excursion to turn off a switch on a wall which wasn't remotely obvious. And it requires you to die. It requires you to die in a rather cruel way in order to know that going to Marquez is wrong.
It's a fine line, granted, but the possibility for a mulligan or a do-over in a game to aid progress, and the requirement that you go down a false path in order to see that it was a dead end, are distinctly different things.
This moment in the DLC is relying on the fact that you're playing a computer game, and that they know that you can redo this segment as many times as you need in order to figure out that you need to do something different. In that sense, it's not the same as falling down the pit in Mario, or sliding off off a track, or missing a telegraphed move in Dark Souls, for example. This is that alternative timeline, and for me, it completely broke the immersion. It reminded me as I was playing a computer game. From here on, I felt far less in danger, far more, ironically enough, invulnerable, despite having failed and seen that gory moment, which I suspect they simply wanted to show you because it's a cool Lucas moment. It's a cool moment for the character of Lucas, but it fundamentally takes you out of the experience. And considering all the great work that the Resident Evil crew did with Resident Evil VII as an experience, this DLC, this free DLC, really lowered the bar. And I don't think they necessarily understood that they'd broken, essentially, the experience
We can get out up through there.
by relying on the fact
You gotta be kidding me. Fuck! 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 Get the thing off of me! No!
that it's a computer game.
So there you have it. This DLC enraged me, and it only makes me more annoyed the more I think about it. So I had to get it out of my head, off my chest, onto video, and to share it with you. And I really hope that this doesn't happen in Village, in Resident Evil 8. I hope that they learn from these experiences and these game design choices that they make. Presumably, this might have been a problem that came about because of the first-person perspective, because you can't see through and over obstacles to see the switch on the wall, or maybe they just forgot to connect these things up with a circuit to give you a visual clue. I don't know how it happened. All I know is that it broke the experience for me, and from that point onwards, this was just a game. This was a game that they were relying on the reality of it as a game in order to see you proceed. They almost winked at you. See what we did there? That was a dead end. Now do better next time. That's not what happens in good game design. It's not what happens even in Mario, for example. You die, and then you go back in time in your timeline and you continue. And that sequence of broken timeline moments is, in theory, a perfect playthrough, where at every given point you made the right decision. In this instance, this is a Doc and Marty in Back to the Future Part 2 scenario. And it really annoyed me. What do you think? Please do comment below. Please do let me know. Please do tell me if I'm taking this too seriously. Maybe this is just an expanded version of a Mario pitfall, and I'm thinking about it too much. Maybe, but I don't think I am. I've been thinking about this a lot. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. As ever, guys, until next time, thanks for watching, and do take care. Bye bye.